Thank you very much, Darryl. I just want to go on record saying that I don't have a teleprompter. So, but my daughter did allow me to use her iPad, so I do the best I can. When I got to thinking about this, it got me thinking, how many times have either through your life, someone you know, or maybe you've said this to someone, you don't have the right to complain if you haven't voted. Well, I think most of us here, if not all of us, have voted. And most of us have been complaining. But one thing is for sure, we are all disgusted with Washington. I've taken that idea about the right to vote, or the ability to vote in order to complain, one step further. I decided I can't complain who's on the ballot at election time if I myself am not willing to run. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to speak with you today. It actually is a real privilege to get up here in front of people I know. So thank you. I have a lot to say, and when I first started, it was about 6,000 words. Don't worry, I got it down, I think, to 10 minutes. But if you stay with me during this little journey that we're going to go through, I think you'll be able to make up your mind whether I'm the candidate for you. Either way, come and talk to me after the meeting. I'd love to hear your ideas, your concerns about the campaign. My name is Zach Poskevich, and I am running for the Republican nomination for U.S. Senate. I believe a lot of our problems that we are experiencing in our government today, and it just didn't start today, or didn't start 5 years ago, it is courage. Our leaders lack courage. Well, what is courage? Courage is acting upon one's belief, in spite of, let me back up, especially in spite of criticism. So therefore, courage is acting or attacking the problems, no matter how big they are. Courage is protecting the Constitution, no matter the phone calls or the threats you may receive. Courage is standing for right, because that means that you stand against wrong. Courage is always standing on your principles and standing against political correctness. Courage is embracing American exceptionalism, not apologizing for it. Courage is not defined as cowardness, seeking self-interest, or self-indulging. Therefore, courage is not analyzing the calls that come into your congressional office to decide, do the yes have it or the no's? And that's the way you vote. Courage is not compromising on your principles. Courage is not trying to be all things to all people. And courage is not being politically correct. And last, courage is not standing for wrong today in hopes of standing for right tomorrow. I believe we all can agree that the lack of courage, we're seeing the consequences of that in our economy and our government. The consequences of our politicians not solving the real problems or championing the problems that our country is facing has resulted in a decline in American exceptionalism. It has resulted in the lack of leadership to protect our borders. It has led to a lack of leadership in checks and balances within our government. And it has resulted in a degrading and elimination of our state rights and our individual freedoms and liberties. This is a result of when our elected officials seek their own interest or trying to push an agenda forward. This is a result of when our politicians or elected officials do not use the Constitution as their guide. You and I, we are outraged because we understand the impact that the national debt has on our national security. We already see our government compromising our national security with China. Our government hasn't taken a clear position on the many security threats and the breaches that we've traced back to China. U.S. intelligence has been stolen, but this government is afraid to act. This is the result of our reliance on China and other countries to buy our debt. We are losing our sovereignty because when we don't have the ability to act the way that we want to act, we are no longer a sovereign nation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to aspire once again for big things. When you hear your politicians or your elected officials say, "Well, I voted for that bill because it was the best plan possible." But then when you and I, when we read it and we see that there's violations to the Constitution, what that has told us is that politician, that elected official, has decided to stand for wrong today in hopes of standing for right tomorrow. Our elected officials have given up on accomplishing big things. The Tea Party members in the House, they were the bump on the legislative road. But what we need is to be in the driver's seat so we can steer our course back to constitutional government. We must get beyond party. And we must get beyond our ethnic differences. Because we are Americans. And being an American means that we believe in freedom. It means that we believe that those that govern do so at the consent of the governed. It means that we believe that smaller government, limited government, is more transparent and more flexible to address federal issues without infringing, degrading, or eliminating state rights, individual freedoms, and liberties. We must unite as Americans. Party platforms have an agenda. And I stand before you today and tell you that our solution is not found in party. Our solution is found in each of us. What is found in each of us is the desire to be free. And that freedom can only be guaranteed when we understand that our rights are endowed upon us by our Creator.